Good afternoon, councillors, ladies and gentlemen of the public. Welcome to the Planning Committee South. We're not expecting a 5 minutes today, and if the alarm sounds, please leave the building through one of the emergency exits, which call the room or the door you came through. The meeting will be recorded and then uploaded to YouTube following the meeting. Therefore, any members of the public should be aware that they may be recorded and not participating in the meeting. If this causes you any concern, then please let us know. Please switch time during the meeting. And the planning applications will be heard in the following order. The chair will announce the agenda, item number. The planning officer will introduce the application with any relevant updates and provide a visual presentation to aid members' understanding of the context of the application. The chair will call on public speakers to present in accordance with the public speaking arrangements. Then we will ask members and officers if there are any points of clarification, followed by any technical questions. Then the entire committee will debate the application. Members may seek further clarification of any particular points from the officers regarding the application or on points raised by the speakers during the main debate. If we start today's meeting with apologies for absences.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Chair. We've got apologies for absence from Councillor Mike Best, for whom Councillor Mike Stanton is going to substitute. Apologies from Councillor Sue Osborne and Councillor Jenny Snell.
And also Councillor Mrs. Kenton.
And Councillor Jenny Kenton.
Okay, thank you. The minutes of the previous meeting are in the agenda pack there. Are members happy if I sign those minutes as a record? Okay. Any declarations of interest on any item on the agenda today? No. No one, I believe, registered to speak in public question time. So we will start off with the first application, which is planning application 23/03/085. Central House for Services, Tory Road.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. This is the application for part demolition of existing buildings and erection of 16-metre high bay storage facility and formation of additional car parking area at Central House Central Services Limited, Torbay Road, Castle Carey. Hang on a minute, I've lost this. Yes. The application site lies at the western outskirts of Castle Carey and within the development area as defined in the South Somerset local plan. The site, as you can see here, is located on the north side of Torbay Road and it's served by its own dedicated access and an access shared with the wider industrial estate. So there's an access there. The application site comprises a distribution warehouse facility owned and operated by MWI Animal Health, a veterinary supply company supplying kit for surgery for and animal care products to vets. And the site expanded on the north. This one shows it. This expanded to the north agricultural farmland and a partially constructed housing development, approximately 880 metres from the boundary of the site. That's in these fields in here that's being constructed at the moment. By existing industrial buildings to the south of Torbay Road and to the west other industrial buildings, as you can see here. The full application, if I should, full application is for partial demolition of the existing building, and the building to be demolished is this section here. An erection of a 16-metre high bay storage facility and additional car parking, which is in this section here, for 104 spaces. The applicant is seeking to place 3 out of the 6 units on site to allow the increased storage capacity necessary for current day requirements. And these 3 units would be replaced by the high bay. And this is the outline plan, and the new high bay is situated on this part of the site where the existing building is retained. And this shows the elevations. So this shows the high bay and the profile of it with the existing buildings retained. The 16-metre high bay would have a repeating gable roof pattern, as you can see there, with shallow pitch, and the walls are profiled wood padding in olive green. The building itself is 60 metres to the ridge, 78.5 metres width, and a depth of 52 metres. And in terms of policy, Castle Carey is designed as the local market town under local policy SS1, and is considered to be a sustainable location for development. And as such, there's no in principle objection to the scheme. However, the proposed structure would be significantly greater scale than the existing buildings on the industrial estate, and will be visible from both the neighbouring fields. If I go back to that one, neighbouring fields, the new houses that are being built, and also public rights of way, as well as further viewpoints over the historic town of Castle Carey and its rural landscape. The design of the unit do not blend well with their existing surroundings, and would have a detrimental visual impact on the landscape due to their scale, bulk and massing. We see here considerably higher than the existing buildings on site. These show you, these are some of the ones that are going, and these are some of the buildings that are being retained. One of you that retained building. So you see on the elevations, you see there's quite a stark difference in terms of the existing and proposed elevations. However, there are no other issues arising from the proposal, including high-risk ecology, phosphates, drainage, and the reason for refusal solely relates to the scale, massing and monolithic shape of the high bay, resulting in harm to the rural character of the area, contrary to policy EQ2 of the local plan and policy DP1 of the Castle Carey and neighbourhood plan. And as such, the application is recommended for refusal. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. So we will move on to speakers, and the only speaker I have for this application is the applicant, Simon Robinson. Simon, if I can invite you to use the microphone at the end, and you will have 3 minutes.
Good afternoon. This application was submitted on the 5th of December 23, validated in February 24, and given initial determination date in May 24. It has been a long journey to today. 11 out of the 12 consultees have supported this application, including Highways and LLA. The only objection is from the Council's Urban Landscape and Design Officer. The officer in the landscape response to clearly states, and I quote, "The principle of a taller warehouse-style building on this site is not objected to. We appreciate the officer's concerns. The past correspondence will show that we are committed to working with the LPA to meet certain appearance changes. However, the building contents and business operation must be considered. The pharmaceuticals stored within the building must be kept at a temperature between 15 and 25 degrees. The stipulated requirements to have a dark roof will attract solar gain into the building and will require extra cooling within the warehouse, meaning additional energy usage. We have already informed LPA that the project aims to provide solar PVs to the new roof, and this has been encouraged by the landscape and design officer. At this point, can I please bring to your attention that in November 2012, a planning application for a 15-metre high warehouse extension with a greater massing was granted. Work did commence within the 3 years from admission date. However, escalating costs forced the suspension of the project. This site has been in operation since November 81. Due to operational growth, it has expanded 7 times, a true success story. Further expansion is now needed for the future sustainability of the Castle Carey operation and to meet industry needs. Central Services wholly own the site and want to invest £30 million into Castle Carey, not only safeguarding the existing jobs, but providing 40 new jobs for local people. This cannot be achieved without planning approval. Time is of the essence. If we are to secure the investment, there are only 3 options. A, we complete the build on the 2012 application, which does not now meet operational needs and is of significantly greater scale than the current application. B, we move the operation away from Castle Carey, resulting in the loss of local jobs and will impact on the local supply chain. Or C, approval of this application, allowing a significantly smaller scale extension than that granted in 2012 and secure the £30 million Castle Carey investment. Our strong preference is that you grant approval for this application for a facility that meets industry needs, those of Central Services, and which will bring much needed jobs and revenue into the area and hence retain one of the town's principal employers. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Thank you, Mr. Roberts. That's what let's start with questions.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to avoid asking questions because the position we're in at the moment is the officer who wrote this report is not here. He's left the council, and if I start asking questions with my level of knowledge as the local member of the officer here, it would not be fair. I would like to propose that on economic grounds, and I'd like to give you a little history, that we actually overturn the officer's recommendation. There are 2 things that I wish to say. The first is 100 metres away, there is the pet food factory, which has a 36-metre high tower. And to try and say that what is happening here is going to be oversized when we have already got a major oversized unit within 100 metres, I think is slightly difficult to come to terms with. And the second thing I'd like to say is all the fields, so-called fields, the North have planning permission on for 160 houses. And every one of the footpaths has got to be moved to facilitate the houses going in. I don't think that me bringing up these as questions is fair on the planning officer. I would like therefore to propose, and I have a seconder, that on economic grounds, Camille will second me. I would like to propose that we actually pass this application.
Thank you. Thank you for your proposal, Henry. I'm going to just check the questions first and go through that, and then I'll come back.
No problem.
Councillor Stanton. Councillor Steele.
We've had it asserted that there's an extant permission for a larger development on the site. Can I ask if that extant position included any finishes conditions that would enable the changes to be denoted as part of the application?
Sorry, I don't understand the question. Colour change as part of this application?
No, I'm saying in terms of precedent, we're told that there is an existing permission for a larger unit.
Off my head, I don't know. I can look that up and then know.
I can tell you that I have got the application here with me. And there was no. So, yeah, I've got the actual application here with me from 2012, and it was granted as an absolute huge dark brown box.
Mr. Chairman, I tried to explain that the officers worked with this council for a week, and it really isn't fair and detailed questions and at this point.
Councillor Potter.
Well, we have actually got the family history and the personal papers. We can look at that quickly ourselves.
Councillor Curley.
Thank you, Chair. Just wanted a quick point of clarification. So on page 44, section 1, it says, provided the proposal due to its scale, massive external colour finishing would result in a large monolithic shape with no windows. When I read that, I instantly thought, oh God, is it going to be like an IKEA building, bright blue, and not sit in the environment? It doesn't actually specify there. I'm glad to see from up here that they are in a dark green. Can I just clarify that is, because it doesn't say in the report that is the finished colour?
Yes, it is, dark green.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm only going to mention this because you brought it up about the PV we're on the top.
Yes,
I understand why you're having all that, but are you having battery storage for that as well?
yes.
That's the only question I've got, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you.
I wanted to speak in favour of this application. Central Services started off in South Street and Castle Kerry.
So just on questions at the moment, is this question?
No problem.
Does anyone else have any further questions on the application at all? Yes, does anyone have any points of clarification, officer or member at the moment? No. Okay, we'll move into the debate and I'll stop.
Now, I wanted to support it. It started off in Castle Kerry in South Street, pretty much a house that was expanded and grown by the Ewing family. Unfortunately, all the Ewing family have passed away, which is a massive loss. But they created jobs, supported Castle Kerry and grown. We had at one point a risk of it moved into Stoke-on-Trent, which would have decimated the employment of Castle Kerry after we lost Clark Hugh factory. They're the second largest employer in our area, second to the new in Castle Kerry. And there's probably 4 generations of founders in Castle Kerry, so it's very much part of Castle Kerry. And I think people in Castle Kerry would be very disappointed if we didn't support this application.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak? Councillor C?
Yes, I did a site visit earlier with the Hesford level members. And I can see the point about there being a present with a very tall tower next door. I was a bit concerned actually that that tower has the sorts of treatments that the landscape officer was asking for, lighter colours in order to relieve level views, etc. As a result, you'll end up with a white stripe against a green background. So it will actually shout quite big. And the reason why I asked my question about whether the application back in '92 had got a colours condition was I can see the point about the size and shape of the mass being fitted to its use. So it can only be that or bigger. And I was hoping that we could avoid another block that's visible from a long way away, which is what we did by accident up at Lufton, where we have a number of high bay units, which are, frankly, what you spot the area from. And I do appreciate that this is on the sort of back slope of Castle Kerry. So the people of Castle Kerry are very happy about it being tucked away. But it's what Castle Kerry looks like to the rest of the world that will be blocked by the big, shall we say, fringe monolith. Having said that, I did do a site visit and I'm reasonably content that I understand what will be being done to the landscape. My difficulty is deciding whether I like that or not. I'm pretty certain the landscape officer was correct to raise the issue. I don't think it's been well handled, but I think on balance, might well be supportive of.
Thank you, councillor Whale.
Yes, my comment is that, as said by the applicant here, there's been no objections to this. And the really interesting one is A, not from the board members, and B, from none of the residents of Castle Kerry. Now, I would have thought, had this really going to be obstructing the view to such an extent, we would have heard something or other from some complainant or whoever. And certainly there isn't any of that, so I am going to support the board member in his suggestion.
Thank you. If no one else wishes to speak, I will go back to councillor Hopkins.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. To answer councillor Sea's points, this is actually in a dip. The hill behind it is Castle Carey, and there is a dimmer dump on stopping the view from anybody looking from outside of Castle Carey. You can see the pet food factory, in particular from the station. It is a complete disaster from the point of view of looking at Castle Carey, but it went in because we needed the jobs at the time, and we really need these jobs again.
Do you want to repeat your vote?
Actually, Mr. Chairman, I would like to propose that we overturn the officer's proposal and accept this planning application. Kevin is willing to second me. I would also like to say that we would like to negotiate the colour and reduce the 106 across the board, because I personally believe that Staffordshire Moorland Green is the colour it should be, because it works both against the sky and against the grass.
Councillor Hopkins, did you say reduce the 106?
No, putting in the 106.
Thank you.
The colour. I don't want it to be decided today, though it's in the application. I've already talked to the planning officer about negotiating that 106 so that we get a colour that everybody wants as opposed to being imposed on. I know it's going to problem for you, not to live with it.
Thank you, Henry. I'm going to come back to the planning officer to look at.
I think in terms of negotiating the colour, you wouldn't do that in the 106, you do that by condition. What you could do is say in addition, because this is a full application and the details are submitted, say notwithstanding the submitted plans, the colour shall be agreed with the council, etc, etc. So, you know, if your motion goes through, then obviously that is something we can look at.
So are there any other conditions that we need to look at on this application, or does that cover everything you think we need to do?
Well, obviously conditions would be from the consultees, so we've got traffic issues, we've got I'd probably ask for landscaping as well, without going through all the drainage. So all the standard stuff that we normally put on a planning application for a commercial use. And a 106 from the travel plan.
Councillor Hopkins, that's your recommendation.
100%. If councillor C wants to speak.
Yeah, I'm coming through next. Before I do that, I'm going to go to Councillor Messenger because I believe he wants to second it.
Sorry, Chair, I just thought it was, for a proper process, surely we should be clear about which consulting responses resulting in conditions we are going to propose, because I think we're pretty much on consensus of not to support this, and therefore we need to apply the normal conditions as to what the service project, plus the finishes condition, which I think would also put some kind of consensus on. And we need to form the words for the decision of the president.
Mr. Chairman,
I was just suggesting to the chair, maybe if to the proposal that you put that the conditions are done in consultation with the planning officer when they're looking at the full case, because obviously it's very difficult on the top of my head right now. Looking at the conditions and the 106 in consultation with the chair and the board member, and if the members are happy with that, then they can agree them together.
Okay, so if everyone's happy with that, we have a proposal and a seconder, I am showing all of those in favour. I believe that's unanimous. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. So we move on to our second application, which is planning application P1//00503 Airline land at Crawley Road, Kingsbury, Fiscally in Martin.
Yeah, just putting up the presentation. This is an outline application with all matters reserved except the access for the erection of up to 25 dwellings, demolition of single story extension to number 18 and a rearrangement of estate roads to facilitate access between 18 and 19. This is the site outlined in red. Access is taken from the avenue. Thorny Road to the east, recreation ground, community centre with a community shop and cafe, Kingsbury Episcopi to the south, and Norton Road to the west. The agenda report mentions the incorrect doctor's surgery, the nearest doctor's surgery being South Petherton Medical Centre and Montauk Surgery, both within 8 minutes drive with capacity for additional registrations. Spoon did showing the existing dwellings along the avenue, Thorny Road, community centre, shop, cafe to the east, and Waterloo Drove down to the west. The junction with Norton Grove is blocked with bollards to prevent vehicular access. Scenario view. The site, Kingsbury Episcopi to the south, open countryside to the west and north, community centre, recreation area here. In slightly, avenue to the south, community centre to the east, open countryside to the north and west. This is an indicative layout and does not form part of the outline application in terms of approved drawings. It is intended to show that up to 25 dwellings can be accommodated within the site. The layout indicates a spine road with dwellings either side, a T at the eastern end, at the western end, with further housing. At the eastern end is proposed suds area and landscaping. Sufficient distance is provided between the existing dwellings along the avenue and the proposed dwellings. The layout shows that policy compliant parking can be achieved and that the density of the development is acceptable. Proposed access is taken off the avenue. This square area in the avenue, the access taken between 18 and 19. This is a view looking east down the avenue towards Thorny Road at the end, with the square to the rear of this square. This is the square. The proposed access is at this point through between 18 and 19. The avenue continues along to Norton Grove. As I mentioned, there's no vehicle connection from the avenue. However, there is pedestrian and cycle access. This is a closer view of where the access will be taken. The car parking remains for number 19. The car parking at number 18 will be discontinued and placed towards the rear of the property. It should be noted the description and the planning application regarding demolition of the extension to the side of number 18. This is being carried out and the extension removed. The demolition of the extension did not require planning permission. So access is proposed from the avenue at the square point into the site, to the rear. The access width is 6 metres, which is a metre wider than stated in the agenda report. And it's proposed to be a shared surface access, which the highway authority confirmed to be acceptable. Access is retained to number 19 at this point. Previously mentioned car parking to the front of 18 will be relocated to the rear. Concerns have been raised by the parish and residents that the structural stability of the avenue will not be able to take additional traffic or construction traffic. The Highway Authority has stated the relevant section of the avenue is highway maintainable at public expense, i.e. adopted. The Highway Authority is duty bound to maintain the highway to a standard required by Section 41 of the Highways Act. The proposed development cannot be used to remedy any pre-existing deficiencies in the public adopted highway. The highway has Highway Authority is recommending a condition requiring the existing condition of the road to be recorded prior to construction, and any damage caused by the development must be remedied by the developer. Development construction phase can be managed through a construction and traffic management plan, and if necessary, construction vehicle sizes and weights will be managed to ensure that these don't exceed typical design vehicles for this type of road. These conditions form part of the recommendation. These drawings show that visibility is achievable to the satisfaction of the Highway Authority. These drawings show tracking for a refuse vehicle, again acceptable to the Highway Authority. Shows tracking for a large car, again acceptable to the Highway Authority. This is the junction of the avenue point with Thorney Road. It is proposed to upgrade this section of the verge on the west side of Thorney Road to a properly surfaced footway approximately 18 metres long, creating a continuous link into the existing footpaths in the village. This will mean that residents of the development and the avenue will be able to walk safely and conveniently to the village hall, shop, playground and other facilities in the village. This strip of land is part of the highway verge. Active travel is a key ambition for Somerset Council to promote healthy and active communities with a good quality cycling and walking experience for all users. Council has developed local cycling and walking infrastructure plans for Bridgewater, Taunton and Newham. However, it is recognised that rural settlements such as Kingsbury Episcopi may not be able to achieve the goal of 20 minutes round trip by cycling or walking to a wide range of services, all practical to facilitate modal shift through multimodal travel measures, given the limited public bus service available. The applicant has proposed improving the footpath links to the existing footpath network leading to the facilities in Kingsbury Episcopi, which will assist in promoting active travel within the village. There are a number of public rights of way around the village, including direct access to the River Parrot Trail, offering recreational activities and limited purposeful active connectivity to neighbouring settlements. All other forms of non-car use by the residents of the proposed development can be considered as active travel, whether recreational or otherwise. Some of the key considerations. Somerset Council cannot demonstrate a 5-year supply of deliverable sites, triggering a tilted balance and paradox level of the NPPF. Development should be granted unless policies protecting important areas provide a clear reason for refusal or adverse impact significantly outweigh the benefits. All technical consultees have responded positively to the proposal. is considered that the development complies with the adopted policy and the NPPF, and that the principle of development is acceptable. There's no identified harm to heritage assets or the conservation area. The Highway Authority has not identified any harm related to highway safety and the recommended conditions. The development will provide both market and affordable housing, contributing to the council's 5-year housing land supply and improving the sustainability of existing services and facilities. Contributions towards community sport and leisure provision through section 106 obligations and still enhancing the sustainability of the settlement. There are short-term economic benefits during construction and long-term benefits as residents access local services. The site has a phosphate mitigation solution in place, addressing a significant issue that is currently preventing housing delivery in the district. This adds substantial weight to the benefits of the proposal. On this basis, the application is recommended for approval, subject to section 106 agreement and conditions as per the agenda report. I'd like to say that our Highway Authority officer is available online for questioning. Thank you.
Thank you, Colin. We're going to move on to public speakers. I'm going to start with Carrie Hartley. I can invite to the end table there. Thank you, Mrs. Hartley. You have 3 minutes.
Thank you very much. Our first concern about the proposed development relates to safety of the surrounding road. Safety at the avenue should be paramount to residents and visitors alike at this busy junction. In 2021, the local community conducted a survey in response to a report commissioned by the Highways Development Control Officer. Traffic was observed driving from the avenue up to peak times for a single 20-minute period. 20 minutes will in no way affect the actual numbers of vehicles, buses and horses that use and pass the junction on a daily basis. By contrast, our community survey, which was conducted over 6 days, covered all hours between 7 and 7 p.m., 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. The results showed that the average number of vehicles passing the junction was 1,000 per 12 hours period. Many of these vehicles passed at higher speeds than 30 miles an hour. Since then, traffic in and out of the avenue has increased following COVID as people turn to and remain using online delivery services. Additionally, more young families have recently moved into the avenue as all the residents move on and others move away. These youngsters and other locals who use the avenue as a cut through to the village shop and rent deserve to do so in safety. School children and college students walking to their bus stop at the junction of the avenue each morning have every right to do so in safety. Increasing number of cars from a new development will only increase the accidents in this area. The avenue has many cars that can only park on the road and curb, which is a further safety issue. With predicted construction traffic on the road built in the 1950s, it is believed that the fabric of the road is unsafe for this project in terms of its strength. As a proper survey yet to be undertaken as requested by the parish council. The turning circle at the top of the avenue will seriously be impacted by the traffic coming in and out of the construction traffic. Secondly, the community has concerns about the attenuation pond and pump, which is intended to alleviate potential flooding. Who will be responsible for the ongoing service and maintenance of the pump? It is recommended that pumps such as these should be inspected every 6 months and serviced every year. Initially, municipal contractors do this, but once the properties are sold, it is usual for residents to pay such a service. While the idea of residents management may work initially, some schemes generally fail in the absence of legal obligations and enforcement. So how will this situation be prevented from happening? The responsibility will be written into the deeds for each property. The drainage system for these proposed houses will enter an already failing sewage system that was built with clay pipes in the 1950s and needs regular inspection by Essex Water. Our village is already sustaining and supporting the mixed age population that is natural within the families living in and out.
We would like to invite the panel to visit the village, to inspect the area and to debate, so that you can understand our very real concerns about neighbourhood safety and the impact of the proposed development on the community. This proposed scheme is in the wrong place, and we urge
Thank you, Mrs. Hartman, you've got 3 minutes.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
I next invite Mr. Clark Williams.
Good afternoon, members. My name is Jack Clark Williams and I am a transport planning consultant at SLR. I'm here to speak on behalf of the applicant, Mr. Chapman. I would like to raise the following points. Firstly, the access is taken from an existing turning area along the avenue. The access design has undergone a thorough design process following national guidance from national streets and local guidance from Somerset Council Streets and Residential Balance Guidance. The guidance reflects the design reflects Somerset Council guidance for a type 4 shared service access route. Shared service square arrangement has been implemented to reflect similar designs approved by Somerset Highways and elsewhere in the county, including Gregory's and President Clayton. This example has no report of safety concerns for use of good places making. Somerset Highways are entirely satisfied with proposals. The detail of the scheme is just clears. Suitable visibility can be achieved in accordance with table 7 of employment maintenance routes. Refuse vehicles can enter and exit the site safely. Vehicles have adequate space to pass one another given the nature of the road. The access route is shared service, which is highlighted by signage and reflects Somerset Council design principles as set out in Chapter 3 of their Guide to Streets and Residential Balance. The access arrangements benefit from an independent Stage 1 road safety audit. Somerset Highways are completely satisfied with the output. The overall access design has been prepared in consultation with Somerset Council's Highway Control Officer at Garland, who has supported both access. The development will provide safe and suitable access for all users as required to paragraph 114B of the National Planning Policy Framework and policy TA5 of the local plan. I would also like to draw your attention to compliance with sustainability criteria. The NPPF requires a paragraph 114A that determines appropriate opportunities to promote sustainable transport can be or have been taken up, given the type of development and its location. The scale of the site is relatively modest. It abuts an existing residential area, and the village has a range of facilities for day-to-day needs of new residents to be given the scale of development. In order to support pedestrian movements from the site to the centre of the village, a new section of foot will be provided along Fawley Road to be secured by way of section 106 agreement. Therefore, the site meets sustainability criteria of paragraph 114 NPPF and policy SS2 of the local plan. The final aspect I'd like to cover is the traffic impact of the development. It has been agreed with the development generating the region of 12 vehicles in peak hour periods and has been agreed with Somerset Highways as the multi-line stable and effective operation of the avenue and the wider network. Concerns have been raised regarding the condition of the avenue by the parish council. It should be noted that section 41 of the Highways Act 1980 obligates Somerset Council to maintain the highway, not the applicant. So the development and its construction will not generate a bill of over siege for design loading of dotted streets, and this will be further managed through a construction management plan. Notwithstanding this, the applicant has agreed to undertake a road condition survey prior to construction. This will constrict the occupation of any dwellings until Somerset Highways are satisfied that the adopted highways have not experienced any damage or that any damage can be repaired. The development meets all local national transport planning policy requirements and should be allowed in transportation grants. Thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker is Michael Norton.
Already on. Tip. Really go. Thank you for allowing me to speak at this planning meeting. I've read the report on the planning application and I support that this application should be approved. I've lived in the local area for 22 years, just down the road in Pistonville, which is a few miles away. Over this period of time, we have seen dozens and dozens of new houses being built on plots similar to this one. It is in my view that every village in the area needs to have their share of new housing being built. And I'm not aware that there have been any significant developments in Kingsbury and Pistonville. I have 2 adult children, one of which still lives at home. It has been my wife and I's concern that there's a housing shortage in the southwest Somerset area. And a resultant school development might one day be a perfect location for one of them to live. I believe that there will not be an adverse effect on the local community. In fact, I am of the contrary view in that this will be a benefit to the local community. There will be a boost to the local shops and business. And indeed, the local pub, which has been shut for a number of years, has just reopened, and I'm sure they will be very glad of any new trade. It's also very close to the local rec and the local shops in the area. This is a village that would be a very attractive place for people to come into the area and live. I think that they would be well looked after in the area. The report itself states that other benefits to the local community that would be in that they would be able to join in community events and join sports and leisure clubs, which would of course be a benefit to them. As the report makes out, there are only positives to come out of allowing this proposal. Of course, there will always be a disturbance during any new construction of any new area, but often that these new building sites are put up in next to no time at all. I think in all new planning cases, you will have a few locals with the not in my backyard mentality, but this should not stop the benefits which allowing this planning application brings. We have just had a general election, and the political parties have made it known to us all that we are in an absolute housing crisis and that we need a solution. And of course, this would be one of the ways of solving, albeit a small part of a community and solution. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Georgina Higgins.
Hello. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak today. I'd like to make you all aware that I live at 18 The Avenue. I work in the NHS and I'm a specialist nurse for the homeless in South Somerset. There is a huge housing crisis within South Somerset, which is having a devastating impact on many people, including young families, couples alike, as they have very little chance of renting or owning their own homes, as the supply of homes within our local area are just not sufficient enough to meet demand. For example, I have my 28-year-old daughter, who's sat across there, living at home with me, and of whom is desperate to rent or own her own home in order to build her own family. She, like many young people we have spoken to within the area, are in the same position and would love to have the opportunity to get onto the property ladder whilst being able to remain local to family, friends and work. I believe that everyone deserves a place to call their own, raise children and build lives. I also have young grandchildren that I like to take to the local park, the shop, the post office and the village hall, but currently have to navigate the road at the end of the avenue to make my way to these amenities. The new path attached to this planning will enable everyone, including myself and grandchildren, to have a safe route to gain access to all of these amenities and things. I understand one of the issues raised is around flooding. In all the time I've lived on the avenue, it's never been flooded. I'd also lived directly in front of the field in question and have not seen the field flooded either. I can also stipulate I have never had any issues driving up the street to park on my drive outside of my house. The road is quiet during the daytime especially and provides a large turning circle. And due to the dead end at the top of the street appears to reduce the amount of traffic that can access it. Over the last few years, I've witnessed many large vehicles, including refuge trucks, making their way in and out of the avenue with no problem. This development can only but improve on current access, as there would no longer need to turn in the avenue, as this would no longer be classed as the end of the street. I strongly disagree that there are parking odds. Few people choose to park on the highways despite having access to their own private driveways allocated outside of their own homes. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Oh, sorry, just one last thing. As I was driving here today, there was one car parked along the avenue, one car in the street.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Gordon Fraser, who I believe is online. Mr. Fraser, can you hear us okay?
Yep, I'm here. Can you all hear me?
Thank you. You have 3 minutes.
Thank you. Thank you for letting me speak. I'm a recent resident from Kingsby Episcopi, and I was there when the initial planning application went in. And when I first saw that, I thought it was a very positive outcome for Kingsbury. The site, as far as I can see, in my purely subjective opinion, will provide a much needed inject of affordable housing in the area. The community centre that I've heard mentioned many times, which was obviously built a few years ago with lottery funding, would obviously benefit from the increase. It will increase the productivity of the community centre and also the shop. And the site is ideally placed to support this and the footfall from the application site. It would also benefit the village with the affordable housing and also the increase to the younger demographic, in my opinion. I left Kingsbury because I needed a larger house, and the house prices at the time for me to buy a bigger house just weren't within my reach. And it was a shame. It was a fantastic village. I loved living there. And you know, I've heard conversations over the last few months regarding the application, saying that this would, you know, it's going to cause a lot of extra traffic, and I don't see that. I think this is a great application that would provide some great affordable housing, as the previous speaker said, for the younger demographic of the village. I'm not a Labour supporter, but actually the Labour direction that they've taken for affordable housing, which I believe has been challenged by quite a few people regards from the parish council. I firmly believe this application meets all the criteria, and as such, it should be approved. That's it. Thank you for letting me speak, and I hope this application goes ahead.
Thank you very much. Our next speaker is Lucy Hamlet.
And you're aware, Kingsbury is a small village which has had no development for many years. As a result of this, the structure of the village is predominantly older, wealthy people who can afford to live there, whilst young local people are restricted to living in there. The village is already set up with a wonderful village shop, post office, recreation ground, and one of the biggest village halls around for a small village. It also hosts a number of events with thousands of people attending, such as the May Festival, Party by the Parrot, and many community groups. It is a hub for the community, but at the moment there's a lack of youth and young people. This development is in a perfect position, and these amenities are easily able to support it. A large percentage of children from the local school in Stembridge come from outside the catchment area, not local to the village, and have to commute in. The majority of the objections are from people who live down the avenue, who at some point have the opportunity to purchase their home, like my family. If they remove the house from the housing stock, and the council had never replenished this, causing a massive lack of homes in Somerset. Kingsbury owes it to the younger generation of people to give them the opportunity that the other people in the avenue were lucky enough to have. I have relatives that have been evicted from their property as landlords are selling private renting properties as they are no longer viable. However, they were very fortunate enough to rent a property from their employer. Their other option would have ended up with themselves and 2 children living in a hostel or hotel. As you can imagine, the cost to the local council would have been astronomical, especially as it wasn't known how long they were going to be there. I hope today we'll finalise this decision and no more time and money that the council can't afford will be wasted on this, as all the qualified and professional bodies are recommending it for planning.
Thank you. Can I invite Mr. Stanton, who's the parish clerk, or the parish councillor?
Good afternoon. My name is Ian Stanton, no relation to Councillor Mike Stanton. I'm representing the Kingsbury Episcopal Parish Council, and I'm speaking in my professional capacity as a chartered engineer. You've heard about the state of the avenue. We don't believe that the highways assessment sufficiently addresses the condition of it as it is currently. Notwithstanding the usual wear and tear to the road surface, more seriously, the concrete base course is at its limits. There's no upgrade, and that means there's severe damage to existing drains, sewers, and other services. That's going to be inevitable given the construction traffic. In accordance with policy TA5, developer must address all transport options. So if this application is to be approved, the developer will have to rebuild, not just reinstate the surface, the road to an acceptable standard for heavy traffic before work commences. We think that should be a condition. We welcome the new footpath from the avenue towards Knightstone Close, and we feel that should be completed before construction starts as a measure of safety towards the residents of the avenue. The FRAs. So, although in flood zone 1, site already suffers from ponding during heavy rainfall, that wasn't identified in the FRA. Proposal to raise the ground level, that's merit. That will simply push increased runoff and groundwater elsewhere, potentially affecting properties on the northern side of the avenue and on Thorney Road. The proposal to pump excess surface water is not supported by Wessex Water, and any cross flow from flooding or pump failure degrade the sewerage treatment process and overload the system, potentially leading to more sewage spills elsewhere. We've already seen extensive flooding on Thorney Road in nearby areas which are not within the flood map area. In particular, the entrance to the avenue adjoins flood zone 3. We've already seen this year how Thorney Road can flood unpredictably, blocking through traffic for weeks on end. Runoff from this development will increase the likelihood of that disruption. With respect to policy SS2, there was no early community engagement. Residents feel totally disengaged with any consultations regarding the group. Not just residents of the avenue, but throughout the parish. There's no new reason here. This proposal does not have the general support of the local community, as evinced by the large number of comments from across the whole parish and the people who attended today. The parish council rejects the application on the basis that the design of access is inadequate, structurally unsuitable, not appropriate for the proposed development. The site is in the wrong location. There's no demonstrable need given the number of empty homes in the immediate area, and it will adversely affect the character and amenity of the village. Social, environmental and ecological issues raised by the council's original objection in April 2021 have not been adequately addressed by members of the proposal.
Thank you. I think now I move to Mark Richards, who is the agent.
Good afternoon, members. My name is Mark Richards, partner and planning consultant at Green Estate England. Speaking in support of the application, I'd like to highlight the following points. Firstly, the proposal is compliant with local plan policies, most notably policy SS2. SS2 supports new development in rural settlements, such as Kingsbury Episcopal, where it meets identified housing needs, particularly for affordable housing. This application will deliver much needed affordable and open market homes at a time when both are sorely needed. Policy SS2 also requires development to be commensurate with the scale and character of the settlement. To provide some context, Kingsbury Episcopal is a village with some 300 homes and boasts a range of facilities, including a community centre, post office, shop, cafe, car, day facilities, sports pitch, and play area. The development joins an existing residential area and is easily walkable to all of the facilities I just mentioned, and there is also a primary school just outside of the village. Development of 25 homes is clearly commensurate given the village's size and the range of facilities it enjoys. Policy SS2 is therefore satisfied in full. The lack of a 5-year housing land supply also requires that a tilted balance be applied when assessing this application. In effect, this means that permission must be granted unless the harm of doing so significantly and demonstrably outweigh the benefits. with no significant harm identified by the planning officer, all the council's technical consultees, including the Highway Authority, the Local Flood Authority, and Somerset Ecological Services, there is a clear expectation from national policy that planning permission should be granted. While I acknowledge there are local objections from the parish council and some local residents, members will be reassured that those have been fully considered by the planning officer and your technical consultees who, as I've already said, satisfied the proposals are acceptable in all respects. I would also point out that the application is supported by many local residents, as you have heard here today. And finally, I'm sure the importance of affordable housing is not lost on members. As of July this year, Home Find Somerset reports that 2,690 households are registered as being in need of affordable homes in the South Somerset area. And for every home that comes available, there are on average 118 competing applicants. It's not an overstatement to say that there's an affordable housing crisis in South Somerset, and that they significant material factor for members when considering this application. This policy compliant development will make a valuable contribution to meeting affordable housing need. I would urge members to support Speedfield's carefully considered recommendation for our planning permission. Thank you.
I'll ask members if they have any points of clarification on anything that members of the public have spoken.
Just got one, Chair. I'm not sir. When the electric authority turns in, I know you're talking about 6 meters and all that. What's stopping in the gap going into the new, possibly the new housing, people parking along there and preventing that? Or measures being put in place?
There will be no yellow lanes, double yellow lanes, preventing parking there.
So people could park there and call them on there. Okay, they need to park there.
Councillor Fox-Jones.
Just clarity, so I can't tell on the drawings. The vehicle access into the new area, it says that vehicles can pass. Is that like two lorries or that could do the works on the houses because they're quite large? Could two refuge lorries pass each other, or would one have to reverse back into the new area? Because I can't tell the difference between the width of the road, sorry.
The width of the axis is 6 meters. We have our highway officer online available to answer those questions.
Adam, would you be able to answer that question for us?
Good afternoon, Chair. Hope you can hear me okay. Yeah, and as your planning officer has just stated, the access road in is proposed to be 6 meters wide. The manual for streets, which is one of the guidance documents local authorities across the country use, states that 2 lorries can pass in an area that is 5.5 meters wide. A lorry and a car can pass in an area 4.8 meters wide. So the fact that they're proposing a 6 meter wide access route, we have assessed this as acceptable.
Thank you. Councillor Webb.
Very much on the same subject, actually. Most of my questions have now been answered. These are a footway as well.
Yes, this is the shared surface. So it's pedestrian and vehicle access.
So no footway, which is right. Okay.
Or that particular stretch.
Right. Thank you.
Councillor C.
Just a point of clarification, Parish Council raised the issue of the avenue and noticed that later on in the process, I was asked to raise a survey condition. Am I right in thinking that the advice is that condition 23 secures that the avenue will get no worse as a result of this development? Oh, let me read.
Correct, that's the condition survey.
Okay, thank you. Are there any further questions at all? The planning officer or the finance officer? No, if not, we can move on into the debate. Who would like to start this?
Board member contribution.
Yeah, sorry, Councillor Stan.
Thank you, Chair. So I'm speaking as Mike Stanton, speaking as the ward member representing 11 parishes, which include Kingsbury, Biscay. A lot of people I recognise sitting at the back there. Some I know, some I don't. Interesting to hear Ian speak. As he said, we're not related from that until today, although I was aware of his name. But it turns out I come from an Irish origin. His Stanton comes from North, so this is a village, I know it well, I've been representing it for several years. It's a village of great community spirit. Lots of people will know the Mayfair that happens every year, which is absolutely tremendous. So this is quite difficult for me to come to a view on. And there are two main issues. Should there be any development here at all? And is the access arrangement satisfactory? There are some issues raised about flooding. I'll mention flooding in a minute because as colleagues know, I do know about flooding. There was a consultation done quite early on before the parish council meeting in 2021, which was a Teams meeting because of COVID. And I gather the residents don't feel that was adequate consultation. So on flood risk, as I see it, the field in question, although it does gather a bit of water at the bottom, occasionally, which will be dealt with by the SERSCI, it ranges from 12 metres to 14 metres above mean ordnance datum. So I think that risk has been dealt with properly. The big problem is the view across the field that the residents on the north side of the avenue have at the moment that you won't have anymore. And it's true of residents of Thorney Road as well. And I sympathise with that problem. It's always an issue at these committees, but it's simply the case that spoiling a view, changing a view with housing is never been an acceptable planning reason for saying no to a planning application. Otherwise, we wouldn't get any development done because nearly all developments are built on from another urban or suburban development. On access, I've been up and down the avenue many times over the years, demolishing that outbuildings extension on number 19, I think it is, obviously improves the situation. It is tight and narrow, so I am worried about the possibility of parking along there. So thank you, Andy, for raising that. We ought to find a way of, if we do approve this, of there being double yellow lines so that the access isn't obstructed, not just for the bin lorry, but for the fire brigade. But that point made, I don't see sufficient argument for rejection in the access width. And the road condition, again, that is a concern, but as I understand it, and Peter's question clarified it, highways are committed to maintaining the avenue. So if it is damaged by building lorries, then they've got to reinstate it to its original status. And it may well not be strong enough now, so it may well get damaged. I think that's right, Colin, isn't it? Yeah. The need, is there a need? Well, housing is needed nationally, it's needed in Somerset, it's needed in these 11 parishes in the Curry Island Land Division. As a councillor, each of us has to do what's best for all of our electors, all of the division, all of the county. We can't make a decision which represents the views of one parish or part of the views some of the residents of one parish. We have to look at the whole the county, the whole of the division, which is what I tried to do. I read through all the objections again this morning. I've listened carefully to the various statements that have been made today. Unfortunately, I'm looking at Kingsbury residents when I say this, the number of objections is not relevant. You need one objection with good planning legislation and rules grounds to get an officer's recommendation for approval overturned. And I've got to say, having been through it all, I don't see that one strong reason for rejection. So on balance, yes, there is some harm, particularly to the view and potential harm to the road. But on balance, I think we should be approving this application. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Curley.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I too am struggling to see any material objections here that can't be conditioned. The one thing that I would just like to emphasise is I'm always very keen on pedestrian safety and traffic movements. And having looked at this, and I think with the added pavement on the main road, that actually I'd say on balance probably improves pedestrian safety. So I think I would be supporting this as well. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you. No one else wish to? That's questions.
Sorry, I'm now looking back with another question. Can you clarify on the planning? Because when I've looked at the swing for refuge lorries, etc., it does say outbound vehicles will wait in this location until inbound vehicles are passed. That's the same with large cars. I'm slightly worried that if we start the ball rolling, we're going to have a load of houses that don't have pavement outside, and you're going to have the swing of these large vehicles. I'm really concerned. You can put as many pavements on the outside as you like, but it still won't make me feel any better about the safety of what's going on inside.
I defer that to Adam, please.
Adam, could you pass some comment on that one for me, please?
Yes, I mean, like we've said, on the straight run into the site, the width is wide enough for the vehicle to pass each other. Yes, okay, you've got that little bit on the beginning. The visibility displays are shown on that drawing you can see there, to show that vehicles will be able to see vehicles coming. The frequency of something of that size coming in and out of this development, if it's more than one vehicle a week, I'd be surprised, because it's the refuse vehicle. We know that the avenue already has existing deliveries, existing refuse vehicles, who all turn round on the existing square. But as has been pointed out, you are now going to enter a realm where the avenue is extended, and there will be a purpose-built turning head within the development site. So the level of manoeuvring on that section of the avenue is going to be improved, because, as I said, the amount of times there is a risk of a larger vehicle entering this new section of the avenue is going to be hugely limited.
Thank you, Adam. Evie?
That's the one that's built that I'm talking about before it's being built, and we've still got the safety of the residents to consider. And I know this area very well. I loved walking up to the mill last night, just behind here. So I'm just really concerned that any box ticking that we do here is going to set a ball rolling, which could be disastrous.
Adam, did you want to come back on that one?
Just if we're talking purely for the actual construction phase itself, we've said all along we would request a condition to put in place a construction traffic management plan. And what we've done in the past on those is request that the developer agrees to keep all the residents down the avenue informed of exactly when delivery lorries are going to be in there, and they can, we've got CTMPs now which control the time of delivery vehicles, i.e. you keep them outside of, for example, school drop-off and pick-up times. You don't have them in the peak period flow times. And as has been stated previously as well, sometimes the planning authority can put controls on the size of vehicles to be involved. So there are things we can do. There are things that the planning officer can do. There are things that your developer can do, which will remove the risks of conflict between any delivery vehicles through the construction phase and your existing residents, your walkers, your dog walkers, and that sort of thing. So I believe the CTMP can control it. And just thinking about that with the avenue itself, the survey of the route can ensure that if the construction phase, this sort of exceptional use of the avenue does create any maintenance issues which aren't generally picked up by the Section 41 duties of the Highway Authority, then the before and after surveys linked with the CTMP can ensure that any maintenance problems are maintained, as well as reducing the risk of conflict.
Thank you. Councillor Webb.
Yeah, thank you. As in all these matters, I live very carefully with the ward member, and I think I, on this occasion, agree with him. The only thing we haven't had any mention of is the apart from the age, is the tipping balance, and in relation to the supply of three housing supply. And quite frankly, this one doesn't get any objections don't get anywhere near tipping the balance, as we've been had to look at on every application we deal with. This one doesn't even approach that, so I have to support the ward member in this occasion. The only thing I did, looking at the conditions, I think it's 09, but possibly. It's about the treatment plant being ready by, this is one for Henry, I think, the treatment plant being, the development hereby approved should not be occupied before December 2024. That's not likely that. We haven't even approved it yet, but unless agreed with them. And this is all to do with the upgrade of the Martop waste water treatment works. Should we have to change that? Should we change that condition to read somehow that the development doesn't start until that work is completed? Now, I don't know what state that work is in at the moment. Well, the occupation should take place. Sorry, occupation should take place until the Martop waste water treatment is up.
Colin, do you want to answer that?
Chair, that is what that condition does. It says that those upgrades to the Martop wastewater treatment have to be in place before occupation.
Aye,
Okay, so Messenger.
that's fine.
Would it be an idea of that box junction or turning area at the top to put a box junction there, yellow box junction, you can't enter it unless it's clear and it stops any parking in there. We have it in one of our cul-de-sacs in Castle Gary, and it relieved a lot of problems that we had there.
Thank you. Adam, did you want to answer that one?
We have assessed the scheme as it's presented in front of us at the minute, Mr. Chairman. If the committee are asking the developer to show something else, all I'd ask is that we have an amended drawing put forward, and I can send it through to the assessors to have a look at it with initial sort of safety in mind and that sort of thing. And I can ask the traffic management team if they would support the implementation of a yellow box in there. All I would say is, yes, there are some places where yellow boxes might work. All I would ask the committee to bear in mind is the yellow boxes stop everybody except emergency services, police, ambulance, fire and bomb disposal and this sort of thing from parking in them. Now, if we've heard from some of the local residents and some of the objectors to say that these areas are already used for parking, and you now remove that ability by implementing yellow box, where are we going to accommodate the parked vehicles? So yes, I mean, like I say, if the committee want us to consider something else, then I'm happy to do so. But I think you've got to weigh up the balance and the pros and cons of doing so.
Thank you. I'm going to go councillor C, councillor Hophouse, and then back to councillor Stanton.
Thank you, Chair. I was wondering if I could ask Adam Highways Officer, is a yellow box needed and necessary in order to allow development?
Adam, do you answer that one?
I'm sorry, Mr. Chair, it all went a bit fuzzy there. Can you repeat the question, please?
Yes, I said, is a yellow box needed and necessary in order to allow the development?
No, because like I said, we've already assessed it as put forward and as presented to you today. And the assessments we've undertaken have not raised any major objections, major concerns. We are content that the scheme is acceptable in highway terms as it stands.
Thank you, councillor Hophouse.
To answer councillor Wales' question, Martok will be done on time along with all the others for a saving of 70 tonnes of phosphates.
Thank you, councillor Hophouse. I will hold you to that one, but we will be done on time, and we'll come back and I'm sure at a later date. Councillor Stanton.
I just wanted to say something more about the yellow boxes and yellow lines. I think those are issues which ought to be, if this application is approved, there ought to be local resident consultation on that. People have a view on whether they want yellow boxes and yellow lines in the road, in the avenue, or in the new development. So, and councillor Lot behind has just reminded me that can be dealt with by a traffic regulation order later on. So there's no. I think it's important that we minute that there's concern about parking issues, particularly along that new access road, to be dealt with later, I think.
Thank you, Adam. Just to clarify that for everyone, am I right in saying that if this becomes a problem in the future, that the parish council could ask for TRO to be put in place with some consultation as to something in that area?
Basically, you'd have to come through our traffic management people. I am not a hugely competent traffic management officer with regards to yellow lines and that sort of thing, but I do know there are sort of legislative and procedural, for want of a better word, requirements, rules and regulations on where yellow lines and yellow boxes can or can't be implemented. So yes, I think obviously if the parish council have concerns in the future, write in and our traffic management people can investigate and they will obviously provide you with a comprehensive answer, but just at this precise moment I can't.
Thank you. Well, if there's no one else that wishes to speak, I'm going to go back to councillor Stanton. I'm not sure if you, sorry, councillor Kerr.
I quite happily propose that we go with the officer's recommendation.
Thank you, councillor C.
I'm happy to second, Chair.
Okay, thank you. So we have a proposal and a second in favour of the officer's recommendation. Can I show of hands for all those in favour? Against? Hang on. Councillor Messenger, were you up for? Right. No, so can we start that again just to be sure? Can we have all those in favour of the officer's recommendation? And against? And any abstentions? So one against, one else in favour. So with that application is carried. Thank you very much. We now move on to agenda item 7, which is the appeals decisions. You'll find them in your agenda pack from pages 79 to 134. And if there be anything there about items on your agenda, I'd like to say thank you very much. Can I just ask them this time?